And I notice in your bill that there's a remedy that if someone fails the drug test twice, that they're kicked off of the FITAP assistance until they've received treatment for how long?
No. The bill says this. You apply for the program.
Right.
You sign the consent. If you're the one in 5 people who are screened, and if you fail, your benefits are not cut off. You have 90 days to enroll in a treatment program. If you complete the program, no problem. If you're involved in the program, no problem. Your benefits are not cut off. At the end of the 90 days, you take a second drug screen. If you pass that screen, your benefits aren't cut off. So you got to not go to treatment. But if you fail that screen, what happens? And fail 2 screens within 90 days. If you don't do one of those 2 things, then it's suspended for a year. You're not permanently dismantled. It's for 1 year. Then you come back and you pass that second screen. Back up for a second, so I want to understand. You go, you have a drug screening, you fail when you apply. So you take a program for 90 days. You have 90 days to get into a program. Okay. So you finish the program and you're screened again and you fail. What happens? Your benefits are suspended for a year. For how long? For 1 year. For 1 year. And what do you have to do to get your benefits reinstated within that after that 1 year? You have to complete the treatment, some type of treatment, any type of treatment, and you have to pass pass a screen to get back in at your cost of $11. That's it. Okay, but you also have the cost of that program, the first 90-day program. It does not have to be a program that costs anything. It could be a faith-based program. I understand that, it could be anything. You've done your research, and so I'm going to ask you this. Have you identified programs in each city that will be able to handle all those persons that may or may not, for free, have to go into the program? Are we sure, since this bill has a statewide impact, that everyone in my district that may be affected will have a free program? Because that's my concern, is that in a perfect world, when we were funding faith-based programs and nonprofits, before there was an attack on them, we had a lot of faith-based and nonprofit programs that offered free services for substance abuse. I know in my area that there's very few programs and very little seats in that program to offer free services. So I have to assume that some of my constituents, even in the first 90 days, will have to pay for that program. So have you done your research, and can you tell this committee that our constituents that will be affected by this, even in the first 90 days, will not have to pay for that program? I'm going to answer your question this way. You're arguing both sides of the page. If you're saying that a majority of your constituents are going to have to pay for treatment. That's not what I'm saying. No, I'm answering your question. If you're saying that a majority of your constituents, which is what I believe your language was. No, I said if my constituents are affected. Then if you're the constituents that are affected. Okay, the first 90-day program. If it's going to be these mass numbers that you say these faith-based programs. It's not mass numbers. I'm concerned about even one of my constituents. Well, no, that's not what you said. I'm not trying to argue with it, but you said. My question to you is this. No, ma'am, I'm going to answer the question. You said. You might want to respect the members of this committee and have to vote on your bill. Go back to the question and answering phase of this thing. I'm trying to answer your question. You said that these faith-based programs and these publicly funded programs that are free might not be able to handle the load. I hope that there's not a load to handle. I hope you're right. But if they're not able to handle the load, if all of these free treatment facilities are having overabundance of people coming in, then don't you, I'm going to answer Ms. Barrow's question too, then we have a problem. We've identified the problem that you're arguing against. In Washita Parish, how many faith-based programs are available for free treatment and how many seats are in it right now? Couldn't tell you. Okay, so you don't know if they can handle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, do you? Couldn't tell you. Okay, so it's not about a load. My question again to you is this, and let me rephrase it. Okay. Can you tell me if 5 of my constituents in District 16 that encompasses 2 parishes because it's rural, if 5 of them are affected, are there free drug abuse programs that can help them in my area? In Washita Parish? Yes. I could not tell you that. Okay, so you can't tell me if even if one of my constituents are affected, if there's a drug abuse program that can help them for free. I can't tell you if there's one that helps them for free. I can't tell you if there's one that they may have to pay for. I can tell you that if they're abusing the system, they need to do one of the 2. Okay, if they're on drugs but they're purchasing food for their kids with the FITAP assistance, would that be considered abusing the program as long as it's going to feed the kids that we intended it to feed? I think it is abusing the program because then that, but I'm two-tier answer there. I think it is abusing the program because they're taking the money that was intended for their kids and they're using it for illicit, illegal activity.
No, I said if they're taking all of the money and actually purchasing food to feed their kids, then would they be abusing the program?
Well, they are, because they're taking money that was available to them and going to buy drugs.
Well, in your scenario, they would be buying drugs. In my scenario, they have a drug problem.
Okay.
But they're using FITAP assistance to actually only to buy food to feed their kids. At that point, is that recipient abusing the program?
I believe so, because they qualify for the FITAP to pay so they could use money to feed their kids. They're taking the money that they should have been using to feed their kids and going to buy illicit drugs. I'm going to go over this one more time. So I don't
in my
really
scenario,
understand your question.
There's a recipient who may have a drug problem, but all of the money they're receiving from FITAP, they're actually purchasing food to feed their kids. None of their FITAP money is going to purchase drugs. In that scenario, would they be abusing the program?
Yes, and I'm going to try to explain it to you one more time. They get $500 in FITAP money.
And in my scenario, they take $500 and pay it.
They've got $200 set to the side for some job they did or whatever. Okay, they're take that $200 and spend it on the illicit drugs. That's $200 they could be using to buy food for their kids that they didn't need the $200 for the FITAP. So it's apples and oranges. If these people took the money that they had and didn't buy the drugs, then maybe they wouldn't need the FITAP.
What if they took that $200 and bought clothes to go to the clubs? Are they abusing the program?
I believe so. If you have money,
do you have a bill for them? Do you have a bill for that too?
It's not illegal to go buy clothes for the club. It's illegal to use drugs.
Well, that's still an abuse of the program. In your scenario, you're talking about the abuse of the program where no FITAP money is being used. So can we actually, as a state, in this narrow program, regulate what they do with their other funds? Because, see, when you give me that scenario on the abuse of the funds, then that seems right. But when you answer it, that seems like a criminal abuse of personal funds that should be dealt with in a criminal statute.
If you want to amend to include that if you fail a drug screen that you can be prosecuted criminally,
well, no,
I'm not offering that amendment, but if you want to offer that amendment, I'm open to it.
We're talking about the scenario, and you said the reason why is because they're taking their $200 that's not FITAP money and purchasing drugs.
That's right.
That means that they're abusing the program.
That's right, because that's $200 they could use to feed their children and not use taxpayer money to do it.
Let me give you another scenario. What if I fail the test? What if a constituent fails the test?
First time?
First time, and they have to do 90-day treatment.
No, it's not 90-day treatment. It's get into treatment within 90 days.
Okay, so they have to get into treatment within 90 days.
It could be a 10-day treatment. It could be a 7-day treatment.
I understand that, but they have to get into some treatment, and there's no free treatment available in their area. And because they are not, if they're receiving FITAP assistance, then they're not well-to-do. So what if they can't afford the treatment within 90 days, and what if there's no free treatment? Then they violated your bill if it's law.
Then they need to do what they need to do to possibly seek some sort of alternative treatment program.
So now we're passing statutes that say, although you need our assistance, do what you need to do to pay for it.
Ma'am, if you failed the screen, then did you really need the assistance?
Let me ask you something.
That's the essence of the bill. If you failed the screen, did you really need the assistance to begin with? And if you do, then you, not the state of Louisiana, not the parish of Livingston, not the parish of Ouachita, but you need to be responsible, and you need to go find a way for treatment, or you need to find a way to pass that second screen. You, not the state, not government.
Did you know that when your private insurer, for most private insurers, pay for mental or substance abuse when persons are found to have problems on their job? If their job requires them to have treatment, even state workers, then the state insurance, the state incurs a portion of paying for that substance abuse?
That's good.
But we're not going to offer it to the people who need it most?
We're giving them an opportunity to pass a second screen and get help. That's what we're doing. I can tell you that I worked in the petrochemical industry for 15 years. I worked at every chemical plant along that river. If you failed a drug screen, you're fired. It's over. You're not coming back in. These are the people who are funding the program. Why wouldn't we treat the people who are funding the program the same people who are receiving the benefits of the program?
Well, I fund the program too. I'm a taxpayer.
I would think that, I'm not going to argue philosophically with you, but I would hope that you would support this bill.
Well, what I support is the current program we have in place that offers them real options, because realistically it's this: all of us have problems in life. And when we have those problems, sometimes we don't have the financial resources to fund them. And right now, the state program, if you look at it, addresses the problem, but it also allows for them to get treatment and if they can't afford it, then the state pays for it. When you take out that element for someone who doesn't already have enough financial resources, how are they to fund their own treatment if my district doesn't offer treatment for free?
Ms. Jackson, I'm going to answer that question like this. I teach high school Sunday school boys at Bethlehem Baptist Church in Albany. And at the end of every Sunday school lesson, this is the message I give. In life, when you make decisions, it has a consequence. When you make a good decision in life, or when we as a legislature make a good decision, it tends to have good consequences that flow from it. And when you make a bad decision, it tends to have bad consequences flow from it. This bill's kind of in the middle of that. If you make a bad decision, that bad consequence is not going to flow. We're going to give you a second chance to make a bad decision. We might even give you a third chance to make a bad decision. But it's on you. It's not on the state of Louisiana. Why in the world?
Well, do we really give them a second chance if they have to pay for the first treatment? If there's no free treatment out there, then does that person who doesn't have the resources to pay to receive treatment within 90 days get a second chance?
If they failed the screen, then they shouldn't have been in the program in the first place.
So we don't give them a second chance.
We do give them a second chance. We don't cut off their benefits, but it's up to them to fix their problem. Not, as you said, it's not up to we, it's not up to us. It's not up to the state of Louisiana. It's up to them. I would tell you that I would think, and I've never been addicted to drugs in my life, but if I was receiving government assistance and I had to make a decision between abusing illicit drugs and abusing the system or keeping the assistance, I've got a decision to make. If I choose to get help for my problem, or to get help for my problem before I ever go apply for the program, then that's a good decision. It's going to be a good consequence. It's going to be a good consequence for me. It's going to be a good consequence for my children. It's going to be a good consequence for the state of Louisiana.
Okay, so
and it's also going to be a good consequence for me because I'm going to feel better about myself because I did something to help my problem. I can tell you that I do a lot of criminal defense. And a lot of the people that I represent are repeat offenders. And the small number of people who either go to treatment or they listen to their parents or they get a job or they feel better about themselves, they're the ones who defeat their problem because they have helped themselves. As long as we continue to help others remain helpless, this problem's not going to get any worse and get any better. It's going to get worse.
Let me ask you a question.
Let's help people help themselves.